The Snow Symposium was the brainchild of Ed Sorensen, Wiley Post, Bill Conover, John Wilmot of Myers Snowplows, and a few others. Fred Flagg and I were also involved. Then there were some other guys. Ed Sorensen's a key point. Wiley Post, and I think Sorensen, they needed some pizzazz, some famous name. So they got a guy named Bert Balchin. He was a famous World War II aviator, polar pilot, taught Amelia Earhart how to fly instrument. He was Admiral Byrd's pilot when he flew over the South Pole. And Balchin was the first pilot to fly over both poles solo. He was a famous guy in ticker tape parades and everything else.
And an excellent navigator. That's why Byrd had him with.
Yeah, he put the skids on, that's the wrong term, but he put skids on the plane so they could fly to the North Pole, Byrd's flight. And they were on the, we could talk about him forever. But that's where you get your information from. Carol V. Glines, a tremendous history of Bert Balchin. So Balchin got in with the committee. He was the first honorary chairman, Bert Balchin, and he and his wife, Audrey, I met her in the 25th anniversary of the Symposium. She said they would socialize with a couple of the senior people from the Northeast chapter, ostensibly Ed Sorensen. Maybe Wiley came in for the weekend, and that's how it got the name. Obviously, with Wiley Post as the first chairman, manager Allentown Airport, why do you think they had it in Allentown? What do you think? It was in the George Washington Motor Inn, if I remember.
It was the George Washington, and I think one of the reasons that was chosen over many other cities in the Northeast chapter is that it was affordable. And that was something that the committee has kind of held to over the years. You know, we could have it in New York, we could have it in Philly and Pitt and so forth, but the cost of the person attending, and most airports won't budget a guy with boots on to come to this kind of a program.
Well, the other reason too is to keep the executives away, because if it was in New York or in Boston or something along those lines, they're afraid that the average mechanic, operator wouldn't have an opportunity to go.
I was told that not to wear a suit. They don't want suits at this thing.
And I think what's kind of interesting about the Snow Symposium Committee, here we have all of us who started out on the ground. Guys were shoveling snow, they were in trucks plowing, they were doing everything and worked themselves up. I started out as a mechanic because that's my trade, and eventually wound up managing the airfield, the maintenance. But those are the kind of people that this was intended for, and that in sharing ideas and so forth.
I started out in operations, and they gave me a $2,000 pay raise to be a truck driver. That was a no-brainer. And I went to field maintenance, and then eventually I got it. But you're right, though, Bob and Dick. This started out from the get-go being for the workers, the people who actually do the snow. And it was from the beginning again. It was an exchange of ideas on how do you do it and how do you do it. Today, I think that's why it's still so successful, because we all do it different. We all have our big airports, small airports, don't matter. We all do it different. And I think that was their idea, and it's been the reason it's been successful. It's for the guys that plow, and the ops people too.
And the fact that it stayed a working conference.
Right.
People met people there. I mean, different airports from North Dakota met people from Minneapolis or Pittsburgh or wherever you're from, and you start communicating, and the problem you have at your airport, they have the same problem. And all of a sudden, guys that came to the seminars and the workshops and stuff at the Snow Symposium start talking, and they just started to figure out things, and they became friends. Like, we didn't know each other back when we first started here. We heard of each other, but we never met them. And I still trying to figure out what the hell happened to your red hair.
It's all on the inside.
But it's a great seminar. It's a working man's, like we said, it's a working man's conference, and that's here to be that.